Hey, Matt.
Hello, Brian.
Hey, Steve.
Hello, guys.
Hey, Steve. Hey, everybody out there. Welcome back to the Callithumpian Parade. Dun, dun, dun.
Woohoo. So,
It's
yeah,
also
today.
happy music, too.
Yeah,
La, la, la.
it's a parade,
Hey,
so it
who,
should
who
be.
is this Steve person? Why is Steve?
Yeah, this is Steve Talkowski. And tell us about yourself, Steve.
Hey, guys. So I'm like a 30 plus year CG veteran. Bryan and I have talked a lot about old school graphics, whatnot. I started back in the day when it was like working on these big giant cellular graphics machines. We're using Wavefront. Ended up moving to New York in 1994. I got a job at Blue Sky Studios where I got to work on some really cool movies: Alien Resurrection, Joe's Apartment, Ice Age. Ended up directing commercials for a couple different companies in New York after that tenure, and then we moved to LA 2011, where I've been freelancing ever since. I was doing a lot of work with a Jim Henson company. They contacted me to develop a show based on my IP, so that's something that has been on and off over the years. And yeah, I do a lot of different things. Worked on some shows as an art director. I just wrapped up a really cool Unreal Engine cinematic for an NFT client that's going to hopefully come out early next year. But yeah, I have my hands in a lot of keeping up with all the latest technology.
Cool.
Cool.
Yeah.
What's it saying your T-shirt there?
Oh, so this is I got to attend Unreal Fest in New Orleans in October. So this is the Epic Games Unreal Fest 23 little plug there.
Nice.
So were you there just going around visiting different booths, or did you have a booth?
No, I didn't have a booth this year. It was basically just like it's a concentrated event just focused on everything Unreal through Epic. So I attended a lot of talks and panels, people showing off, different projects. But ran into a bunch of friends there as well. It was really good to network people in person this year, and just getting inspired to go. I was like actually right on the tail end of my project, so I was able to show some of the work in progress and get a little like last minute tips and tricks for finally finalizing the project.
Awesome.
Cool.
Let's see. Should we have him show some of his work, or shall I show a couple of the newest things that have happened over the past week? What do you think,
I'll
Matt?
leave that up to you, Brian. What would you like this week?
Why don't I show a couple things and then he can share a screen because he's going to show us some Vizcom stuff too that he's been doing
Awesome.
with AI. So that'll be cool. So let me just share my good old frog friend screen. And okay, so the first thing I wanted to show is, so are you guys both familiar with what multimodal means when it's referring to ChatGPT?
Not really.
Okay. So that basically means ChatGPT can now see and hear. So it can understand understand images that are given to it. It can understand in real time video that it's looking at, and it can understand audio when it's spoken to it. So this guy took ChatGPT and hooked it up to his webcam, and then also hooked it up to a voice synthesizer that had been it cloned David Attenborough, if you're familiar with him. And he's a nature documentary narrator, really famous. So he's got it hooked up to his webcam and it's pretty interesting.
Here's a quick demo of what happens when David Attenborough narrates your life. On the left, I'm going to start my camera, which every 5 seconds takes a photo from my webcam. On the right, I'm going to start David Attenborough. And now, as I move around,
Here we have a remarkable specimen of Homo sapiens, distinguished by his silver circular spectacles and a mane of tousled curly locks. He is wearing what appears to be a blue fabric covering, which can only be assumed to be part of his mating display. Look closely at the subtle arch of his eyebrow. It's as if he's in the midst of an intricate ritual of curiosity or skepticism. The backdrop suggests a sheltered habitat, possibly a communal feeding area or watering hole. In its natural environment, we observe the sophisticated Homo sapiens engaging in the critical ritual of hydration. This male individual has selected a small cylindrical container, likely filled with life-sustaining H2O, and is tilting it expertly towards his intake orifice. Such grace, such poise.
I love that intake orifice.
Yeah. Yeah. Isn't that funny? So
That's
yeah.
amazing.
So ChatGPT is looking at the video of him in real time, or the images from his webcam in real time, and translating it into documentary style commentary using a cloned voice of David Attenborough.
Amazing.
Pretty nutty. Let's see. And then okay, so this is interesting. So this is taking I don't know if you guys have seen this, but this is taking just an image, and then it's taking some motion capture data, and then it's animating the image based on the motion data.
I did see this. This is pretty cool too.
Yeah. So yeah.
I want to know more about how they're extracting the arms from in front of the clothing.
Yeah. This is better than any of the other ones that I've seen. They're trying to do similar stuff. But yeah. And then you can do it with any, any image style or photo. I mean, even the cloth is moving on that quite well. So anyway, that's the gist of that one. And then so they've you normally with the AI image stuff, you write a prompt in regular text, and this is from a paper about using rich text instead of just regular text. So you could type in a prompt and you would get the image, but then you could like highlight a word and change the color of that word, and it would change what's in the image to match that. Or you could change the font, and it would interpret the style of font into the style of the image of just the words that were selected. Here's another one where they changed the font on guitar, and it updates the guitar. Oh, and then also, so instead of having to, if you want to change something, instead of in painting, you can just annotate one word and then write a new description on it, on that word, and then it will change just that part of the image generation. So here is the adding descriptions to the trail or the sign, etc.
Is this you? Did you do these examples, Bryan?
I didn't. These are from the developer of the.
Yeah. So it's not out as a free app.
Yes, it is. You can download it and install it from GitHub. So yeah, you could. Yeah. So here, that was interesting. That last one. They had the dog there, and then they just highlighted the dog and then pasted in a picture to associate with that word. And then it changes the dog to whatever the type of dog is in the picture. And here they just changed his backpack with a picture.
Wow.
So anyway, yeah, that's a few of the things that came out over the past week.
Uber cool. I have a couple of things that were put out via media, NPR.
Okay.
I'll go ahead and share those quickly. So an article was put out, stop it, there we go, by NPR regarding, sorry about the scrolling, American artists wondering whether AI is coming for their jobs. And I'm not going to actually read through the article, but from my perspective, it was kind of like investigation in AI light, LITE, because of the things that Bryan and I have been sharing just over these past 2 months. This doesn't really touch on where this is going and where it already is.
I think it kind of speaks to how little people understand what's going on and how fast this stuff is progressing and what it can do and all of that kind of stuff.
Yep.
But
it was nice. I'm glad that they
I mean, at least they're looking at it.
Yeah. And the other thing I just wanted to touch on too is this issue of the body scans and how that's been going on for quite a while, and how they that's one of the issues that was in the I've heard was in the SAG-AFTRA negotiations, which was body scans of actors and actresses have been going on for a while, and they have no control over that. Their bodies get scanned for a particular part and it gets put into a database, and then they don't get any pay for that in perpetuity. It just can be used over and over again in all sorts of venues. So again, this is one of the places where AI is moving into, and we're going to have to be present with it. How do we change with that? How do we adapt? And how do people make a living? Or do they just need to stop trying to make a living as being extras, because AI will do all of that for them? And I'm done.
All right. All right. Steve, do you want to show some of your work, and then we'll talk about some of the stuff we just saw?
Sure. Let me go ahead and share my screen.
Yeah.
Are you guys seeing that?
Yep.
All right. So I'll just basically show my ArtStation. This is kind of like gives a quick background of like what I'm all about. So I do a lot of character design, 3D modeling. Over the years, I also did a toy that came out in 2010 called Sketchbot. Actually, I have one right here. So this came out.
Nice.
I did 6 colorways in a blank, and we had a couple different custom shows in LA and New York. But my stuff is like, I guess my category I like to talk about is kind of like whimsical realism. So I did a whole series of these little robots, kind of inputting them into like real world scenarios, and I would do a drawing a day with for Marcha Robots. This was back in 2014, and so I would go through and just do a quick sketch, and then to post for October, and then we jump into 3D. And at the time, I was learning to use Keyshot, so I was doing these quick, really down and dirty, just modeling to camera, and then doing a quick render out of Keyshot. So these are kind of fun.
Keyshot is a rendering software that's like super easy to generate really nice images, set up just for rendering. Yeah, those look awesome.
Yeah, Keyshot rocks. I actually got to do the Keyshot avatar. This guy right here. So I got to design that for version 6 when it came out.
Nice.
That was a kind of a fun little project to work on. I had been a big fan of Keyshot for many years, and then when I switched over from Mac to PC, I started adopting more of a GPU rendering. That was one of the reasons I started doing my heavy lifting back into the 3D world, back into PC world, because I can start leveraging the NVIDIA cards and the GPUs, and also I couldn't do any VR on the Mac at that time, so I wanted to really start getting into VR more. So for example, I was showing you this earlier. For example, this character here, where's it at? Was sculpted all in VR using Adobe Medium, which has now evolved into Adobe Modeler. So I'm also using that, and they have a desktop. You can work on the desktop, put on your headset, and it goes right into VR. But this was purely all VR work. So the workflow for these was exporting like a voxel based quad triangulated output, and then bring it into Substance Painter, and then getting to the point where I can then take that data and now export it and do like a 3D print of the character. So I'm all about, creating something digitally, but then getting it back out of the computer, which I really enjoy that process. And so you guys can follow me on ArtStation and see what I'm working on. Unreal Engine has been another big part of what I've been into for the last couple of years. And I just did a really cool cinematic I did a 6-month project where I did the whole thing by myself. This was an earlier test piece I did using Unreal, but it's just an amazing program to be able to jump in and do scene layout and get some like real-time rendering, and it moves really fast. And this video kind of shows, it's almost like I treat this level as a game, but I can actually set up cinematic cameras and do animation through it. But being able to run this in real time, I mean, it's like I wish I had this like 30 years ago to be able to do this kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, that's incredible.
Yeah, it's just learning this pipeline. It's been great to work in this field right now. So I worked on a couple projects. I got to work on the live action Disney Pinocchio, where we did a lot of stuff in Unreal that made it through to Final Pixel. And I worked on a reboot of a kids show last year that's still in work in progress. I think it's gonna probably come out next summer, but we did a whole virtual production shoot with that. I get to do some art directing on that. And then, like I said, this year I finished up a cool cinematic. I can't show it yet, but it's coming out next year. And it was really cool to be able to control the whole process. And like once I got the set built, you can be able to go in and do a virtual scout and pick out my camera angle. So I kind of was able to update my storyboard and animatics based on the actual, because I didn't know what the environment was going to look like when I first, did my animatics. But so that's like the traditional 3D computer graphics stuff that I've been working on over the years. But the thing that I've just been getting excited lately is all the AI stuff. And I was initially, let me just preface this with that. I do not use a lot of AI. I use a little bit of Midjourney and Disco Diffusion like probably a year and a half ago. But I got really bored using Midjourney because it just was like prompting. It's like the digital slot machine. You just like kind of like, okay, let me see what I get out of the next pull of the lever. And it had nothing to do with my style or nothing to do with my design language. And I got bored quickly. So I keep up with all this stuff. I see what people are posting, and I kind of got really annoyed where people were saying like, look what I created with this. I'm like, well, you didn't really create anything. You just kind of prompted it to do something. So for me, I want to have more control. I want to use AI as a true assistant. So there's this other app called Vizcom, where I was on the beta a year and a half ago, and I remember taking a look at it when it first came out, but I couldn't get anything to work right. I was like, this is not really something that I'm interested in. And it wasn't until about 2 months ago on my Instagram, I started seeing some of my fellow artists posting some tests. I'm like, what is this? This is the same Vizcom that was out, like a year and a half ago. I go, this is totally different than what I remember trying. And what's amazing about it is that they're using I don't know if it's a variant or if it's just like a pure port of ControlNet, which I just kind of started to learn about this other thing where ControlNet, you can upload a source image and it will respect that image. You can weight the amount that shows up in the variants that you solve. So when I first tried that out, and I was like, you got to be kidding me. It really came out to giving you results that are like right matching exactly what you input to it. So it was the program was originally geared toward concept artists for doing people that do like car sketches and they want to do renderings of their car sketches and athletic gear or that kind of like industrial design work. So I had seen some of that stuff evolving with it, but I wanted to see what would happen if I just threw my character designs at it. And I started seeing some other people doing the same thing and just really being amazed by the results. So like in the early days, like I just started fooling around with it and throwing some of my characters in there. And it's really the fact of like, you just take a sketch, and I'm just going to go in and show a couple like examples here where like you have a layer stack that you can save, and you can actually export this as a PSD file, which is pretty cool. So you can like use this down the road. But like this is like an original sketch that I did, really sloppy sketch. And you kind of go through and you just kind of do a render. And the render tries to go through, and you can say, I want to see how closely I can resemble this the original source input based on a couple prompts, and you can kind of go through and refine it. And so what you need to do first is, if you have like a pure line drawing, it needs to kind of do some kind of a form of a render to give some volume to it. The thing about this is not yet respecting actual 3D volumes. I'm harping hard on the developer about that, and we know it's going to happen where, yes, we will know a sphere is a sphere and a cylinder is a cylinder, so that way I have something like this that's true foreshortened. It's going to know that there's actual depth there. But right now it's only dealing with a 2D image, so it doesn't know depth yet. But when it does know depth, it's going to be game changer, and it really is going to be game over, I think, at that point. So let me I want to show some other examples. I'm just keep on going back to the home here because I have some better ones to show. As I started using this more and more, I was just really getting blown away by the results. For example, this one here, and also here, just to preface this too, is Vizcom is free to use. I'm just using the free version. There's like, if you pay, there's an enterprise version that you have to pay for, but you get like 4 solves versus 1 at a time. I'm fine with the free version. And they just introduced this feature where I can go through now and actually click and scroll down. So I can actually, just like in Photoshop, I can go through and click and hold to get back to like original. So for example, this was the original drawing. Just a quick sketch.
Can you move your screen over just a little?
Oh, I'm sorry. Can you see it?
It's sort of cut off a little there.
Let me move this window over so I can see what I'm doing.
There.
Can you see the whole interface right now? If I go full screen.
Now it moved over to the left a little bit too much. There we go.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yep.
So this is the original drawing, and then like this is the first render solve I did. So you can see that it doesn't do an exact solve on the hands, but that's because of how much I decide to dial in it. But also I think this one I said eyeball robot, so you can see it's kind of introduced like an actual eyeball, but you'll notice that it's just respecting the silhouette of what I have from the original drawing. And then from there I can go in, I can paint out, and I can kind of try to guide the results, so I can keep on moving, and I'll go back and forth where I'll try different render techniques, and I'll go back and refine, and then I go in and you can actually add layers to paint onto. So like I'll try to repaint the hands and then redo another solve, and you can kind of keep on going from there. And then I'll let me do another one. Let me start from scratch again and try a different render, where sometimes I'll try refining instead of doing a render. And this tends to kind of give me like a kit bashing approach to it. And then I'll go back in and try a different color render again. Here I'm like cleaning up and I'm painting over to kind of like get back to whatever silhouette I wanted to try to achieve. And then I'm the refine mode. You find something you like, you kind of refine it, and then I'm just gonna keep on popping up some of these over here. It's weird. It's like, okay, do I embrace this and say, okay, guess what, man? It's like the AI is kind of helping me see a little bit of stuff. So I'm still, it's like it's showing me like, hey, you had this kind of like, you had the original idea to pose the character this way and to introduce some of these volumes, and let me just see how we could push it. Like I might not even want to go with this because it looks too like not my style, or maybe like it's too much not what I wanted. So let me go back and try another one, and let me say that, okay, this one has a little bit of a different feel to it. Let me decide to refine that one. So you again, it's like I just do these to me are a little bit more useful, because I can see what I do and what I don't like based on that was my sketch, right? So I did do a little bit of there's a little bit of implied shading here, but there's enough that I could go into the refined mode and start seeing what it gives me. So I'm not opposed to that. It's like I think it's valid, and I think it's like if you just like use it the right way and don't abuse it. But here's what I'm afraid of is like some client, you're going to be in some like I've had this where I've gone to meetings where it's like, hey, we want to use you for this, and then somebody said, oh, just go and show them the mood board, and like right there's 3 of my images in someone's mood board during a meeting, right? It's like, okay, well, that's what we all do is we all do that. Well, like I put together mood boards all the time when I'm working on a project, even for my own stuff. Like I see someone, like I'm going through Instagram and I'm constantly saving to my private inspiration folder. I'm like, oh man, damn, I love how they did that, that hand. Let me just save that so I can maybe like go back and do a sketch of my own in my own thing. And that's how we learn. Like, oh, I said how they saw it, but then as I'm doing it, maybe I put my own twist on it, right? I'm not copying it. I'm just kind of like inspired by it. So I'm not just gonna take it and just copy and paste it. I'm gonna like, oh man, I see what they were looking at there, but you know what? What if I did this? Oh, okay, that's kind of where I think that's how we grow, you know, and that's where I'm excited about. I don't want to fucking sit there and copy and paste somebody else's work and call it my own. No, it's like, you know, and I know, and I saw some of my peers doing like Disco Diffusion and Midjourney, and they're like, yeah, check it out. And they sign their name to it. I'm like going, you guys are signing your name to this stuff, but it's like, but it was just like it's just a prompt. It's like not even your original idea, like kind of like concept or composition or anything. It's like you're just gonna go with that and say this, look what I made. I don't know. I just kind of think that's kind of cheating. It's like it's not genuine. But like if you're able to input your own idea and your concept and then ideate on that, that's to me where it gets exciting. I don't know. I mean, I'm starting to ramble now, but I mean, you guys kind of see what I'm trying to say, where I think
Oh yeah,
there's a right way to use it and a wrong way to use it.
yeah.
But it's damn exciting.
Yeah. One thing I wonder about is this complicates copyright a lot.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Because like right now you can't copyright AI stuff, okay, but this is you and AI. So at what point in this kind of stuff can you copyright it? I don't think that's been answered.
No.
Which makes it, you know, so are companies gonna want to have this as part of their pipeline if it affects whether or not they can copyright, you know, what they're producing? I don't know.
That's a good question. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I started having this discussion with people too. Is like, how do you know, like what happens if you started to see a little bit of your thing in someone else's work, kind of thing, you know, like if it was trained on one of my sketchbot ideas and like, oh, that looks just like my thing, you know.
Yeah.
But I think, you know, as long, and like the nice thing about the Vizcom too is they will not allow you to type in someone's name if you try to like, and I don't know how, like I'm sure they have a database of like the more popular and well-known designers out there, but like if you try to type in someone's name, it'll say we don't support that. So at least some of these are trying to like be like, you know, we don't want, that's not what that our tool is about. But like you can say like, you know, give me a cartoon tank, comma, by Mercedes or by BMW, and there's like millions of images of cars out there, and it'll like a lot of times I do the car things, the first thing you'll start seeing is the logos up here, but they're kind of like the morphy meshy melty logo, so you can kind of, oh yeah, I can see like the kidney beans of the BMW starting to come form, and if I change it like Volkswagen, it changes. If I change the Mercedes, you know, so you can kind of see how using some of those to ideate on you can kind of go down those different roads. But I think they're good for points of departure to kind of get it, and then maybe like take out the specific and just stick with simple stuff. Like I want to show this one because I love this one. Like I got to a stage about a week's worth of just like sitting on the couch drawing some quick down and dirty drawings. So I just did a quick head bust right in Procreate, and I threw it in. And obviously you can see some of these, and then how I'm doing these little time lapses is there's a way to, when you save out the layered PSD file, I just bring it in as I save all those images as a sequence, and then I just bring it like into Premiere, and I do like a time stretch and blend it. Look at that. I think at one point I put like Lego. I want to see if I can get some like Lego blocks in there, and I did, and then it did wood. Like there's some like Lego, but again, they're kind of like mushy and choppy, but you can kind of say, okay, I can kind of say like there's a little bit of indication of Lego in there. This one again. And then I can't remember how I got this one. This was definitely a wooden toy. I mean, that looks fucking real, right?
Yeah.
That looks like someone actually can make that. But again, it's like there's no existing toy car out there in that angle. This is all based on my drawing angle.
But see, there's no way concept artist who isn't using this could do all this.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
so there's in order to compete, you're going to have to use this.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
there's just no way you could get all these variations this fast.
And they look like they look like a final.
I'm curious how you would feel about if you would have the same excitement, or whether it would feel different to have it be doing this as you're drawing it.
That's the one where like when you like, is that the one where like when you do an image and you change it and it updates real time?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
like you could be drawing this sketchbot, and as you're drawing it based on the prompt you typed in, it would start doing all of this as you're doing it. I played around with it a little bit, and it feels weird. It feels different. It feels like you're wearing a super suit or something, super drawing suit.
I don't know, man. I just
you're this feels to me like it's also tapping into your into like being a kid and playing with stuff. I feel like that's a little bit of what's going on here.
And I feel like I've just barely scratched the surface too. That's the thing.
Yeah. It also an observation that I've had with this stuff is it feels like it's empowering individuals to do a lot more, a lot faster, at the same time as it's replacing some specialist things. Is that
like I don't. Yeah, I hope people don't feel like I sometimes I hate when like these clickbait titles, like, oh yeah, animation dead,
right.
It's like, what? Come on. It's like, it's never, I hate those stupid proclamations that, it's an end of an era. I think it's like, no, it's like, you still need to like, I'm still basing all this on my ideas of like design and how I even came up with this in the first place to kind of push it. I'm not just like blindly.
Well, that's the thing is
I'm not blindly hitting the thought machine.
Yeah. Your experience is playing into what you're getting out of this a ton.
And I've seen some of my other peers do some really amazing stuff where they are doing some crazy, like, with it based on the elaboration of the prompt, and there are getting some interesting things purely prompt based. But I don't know, I just like, that's one thing. The prompt based stuff, I'm like, okay, it's like, but you're not really controlling it more than just like, give me this with this, and this, and this, and then you just like get a whatever it gives you. Where I feel like with this, I feel like I can control it more. And like saying like, okay, I want the robot in this particular view based on this one. Oh, and guess what? I'm gonna do the same one, but I'm gonna give it a different angle. And I'm gonna train on this angle. Now the thing is, what's interesting is like, you can't. There's no way right now we can match that. But like I said, once this starts to realize what a volume is, then it's game over.
Crazy. Let me ask you this. I got a question for you.
Yeah.
If you had this at the beginning of your career, how do you think it would have changed what you are as an artist now?
I think it would probably hinder, because it's like all the hard work is being done for you.
Right.
And yeah, people might be like, well, that means you can then do other stuff, but it's like, you still need to have that foundation. And I feel like it always goes back to that. Like, you still need to know how to draw. You still know how to have color theory. You still need to know all these fundamentals in order to create. I think if you just kind of, if you're just thrown into this, it's like, okay, here, just tell it what you want and it's done. I don't see any value in that. It's like, I don't know. I mean, Matt, I'm sure that you have a really great response to this because you're strictly like an illustration guy, right? You don't do anything 3D or computer graphics. So like, how would you feel about that?
You mean to have this?
Yeah.
No, I don't. I would go all the way to the point of saying that the work that needs to be done to help a child, a young adult, be inculcated in themselves to really see what their gifts are and use them would be helpful them to not even use a computer until maybe they're 18. That's my thought. And that, yes, definitely, eye-hand coordination, it takes a lot of work. To wake up to the muse that's inside, that takes a lot of work.
Yep. I totally agree with that.
And so I'm just, so I think that a lot of people are going to have a lot of fun with this. Is this the same thing as the work that I do? I don't see it as the same thing. I mean, I see the original ideas. That's where we're having the same conversation. But in regard to using this to render, we have two definitions of what render is.
Yeah.
And refine too. It's like I have to be careful because I can get frustrated because I see this and I'm like, where does somebody like me fit in anymore? And that's not really, I don't need to go down that road. Especially if I want to have a healthy conversation, right? So I just want to be clear about that. That when I see you doing this, I see somebody like Bryan said, it looks like you're having fun. And you have developed yourself to such a degree where this is not going to get in the way of you being, real with your creative process, the way you develop things. I mean, whatever that means to you, I'm simply saying, like, you've got it all established. You've done all of the, like you said, the hard work. To me, this is it's a computer game from my process, from the way I do things.
Yeah. It's like with great power comes great responsibility. Like we have to be like, yeah, we can do all this amazing stuff, but it's like, should we? And it's like, how much should we be relying on it? I
think it's going to be done. It's going to
Yeah,
happen.
I don't want.
It's
Like, I
already,
don't want
like we keep saying, the train's out of the station. All
Yeah,
sorts
oh
of
yeah.
people are using
Yeah.
this.
I wonder if there's going to be a wave of, like, okay, so there'll be a lot of artists who won't go down the path of traditional and studying and learning how to do all this and letting the AI do it for them. And, that'll be kind of sad. And then will there be a backlash after that of people not wanting anything to do with it and wanting to go back and learn all this stuff? I have no idea. I see the first thing happening already, though.
Yeah, and like you see the backlash where like now we want stuff that's not AI. We want back to the original creators, and then people are like, oh well, there's no more left because no one
Right.
Yeah.
But the oscillations, right? The tides of that stuff I think are going to be really complicated and tricky and fast. Last month, everybody loved it. This month, nobody loves it. Years before, it would be this thing was overwhelming. Television. Oh, everybody loves it. And then all of a sudden, everybody started to talk about don't sit too close to the television. And by the way, children witness 10,000 murders by the time they're 11. And all of a sudden, you're getting all of this. But that took 30 years or more. I think that this is going to happen because of the iteration of this stuff and the way people are so tied into their into the web that it's going to happen like every 30 minutes.
Yeah.
I really don't see how we can. Well, for me, I'll just speak for myself. I'm happy to be having this conversation because it's good to see how people are using it, and also for me to see how that's not something that that's not a path I want to go down. I've said before, I work really hard to find out where that spot is in me to go to and get the stuff that's interesting and playful to me, so that when I do a sketch, if I walk away from it and I come back, I look at it and go, wow, how did I even think of that? That there is that mysterious relationship to the muse inside that I think especially children and young adults are going to see this as their muse. And I think that's a mistake from my perspective.
That's valid, totally valid point. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's scary because my daughter is 13 going on 14, and she's so used to like just being in front of the iPad and looking at stuff. And then it's like, no, it's like, it wasn't always like this, and she's like too glued to it all the time, but she still does have creativity in her, but I just wish she would be doing more away from that. I mean, that's a whole nother topic. I mean, when COVID hit too, like everyone was forced to be at home, the whole like having to be in school through a screen, that totally fucked a lot of stuff up. But yeah, I don't know. Yes, we already use computers to aid our creativity. So now this comes along where it's like, okay, now we're going to be able to help further, if you use it the right way. Yeah, I can use this as another tool, just as another tool. Like there's times when I don't want to use it. If I'm going to come up with something original, I'm just going to come up with something original, and then I'll idea. I don't need to set that. I don't need to prompt something to come up with an idea. Like I don't need to rely on that. Like I don't want to rely on that because then it's not from me originally. It's from something else. So like, the next time I'm on a job where I have to do a pure character, I think I'm going to experiment a little bit. I'll definitely go through the same process that I always do. But I think what I'd like to try to do is, and this is where it gets scary. Do I want to show the client? Do I want to show them, some renderings? This is what it could look like when I bring it into 3D, and will they be too attached to that? Or, that's part of the process is like, okay, how I budget out the work. It's like, okay, we're going to do like a week of concept drawings or whatever. And then a lot of back and forth. And then, okay, a lot of times they will sign off on something that they won't see a full color. Like I won't do a full color of render. They're like, hey, we like this. Now we go ahead and start modeling it. And then like when I start modeling it, then other things might happen along the way. And I do, iterations, and I show them and we talk about stuff. Hey, can you change that? Or, hey, maybe change that color, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, if I were to show them something like this and go, okay, we like it. Now go model it. And
they could easily get attached to any one of these images. And
Yeah,
that's what I want. And I want it just like that. No, I don't want anything else. That's what I want. And then at that point too, it gets, again, with the copyright stuff and everything else, it gets weird.
Well, I also have, this just came to me. Dun, dun, dun. The, one of the metaphors we talk about is, with the advent of AI, like the Matrix. And in the Matrix, the metaphor of those that were born in the underground city don't have the little metal things to get tapped into the Matrix in them. And then the other people like Neo and everybody else who was born in the as one of the batteries, the little copper top batteries that all of the people were, they have them, right? And what it made it sound like was that the people who didn't have that. It was cool that they were computer free, but also the really cool people were the ones who could get into the Matrix and do all of the cool shit stuff. Pardon my language, but I think that one of the aspects of that, though, is that that's another metaphor for the human experience. If we only use, what do they say, 3 to 6% of our brain power, what the hell is the rest of that brain power? What could we do? So that the people who were sitting outside of the Matrix, it made them just look like they were the hacks who just sit and play with the computers, when in fact, I've said this metaphor before too, like in the past, in Greece, the people who wanted to become poets had to memorize thousands and thousands of lines of poetry of past poets. What happened to that? If we're capable of doing that 2,000 years ago, how come we can't do it now? And if we're going to rely exclusively on external machines to do that for us, then we're ignoring the fact that there's all kinds of stuff going on here that we're not accessing. So the ones without the metal things, right? They're just as cool as the ones with, but we're deciding that this is much cooler. The electronics are much cooler than the human. That's my metaphor for that. And that's the way that some of this stuff makes me feel, is like, I regret that we're not appreciating what can be done. And it's been going on for a long time now, for over 30 years, the wave of just investing in electronics and how cool that is. It's not going anywhere. That wave is getting bigger with AI.
Mm-hmm.
We're all going to turn into the creative blobs like in WALL-E.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I don't, it's like, I just, again, I want to be careful with that, because this is happening and people are going to use it and enjoy it. I'm not saying don't do that. I'm simply saying that there's stuff that's being ignored, that simply because it's human capacity, I'm not so sure that's so cool anymore. And also because of the idea, well, this is faster, this is going to suit a business model better. Is that better? Is moving in that direction the best thing for all of us? What about the satisfying feeling of just creating a sketch and then 1 or 2 final renders? How come those weren't good enough that I rendered myself? These are the things, but like I said before, that can come from resentment. I can be like, what the hell? The whole world's changing. Well, yeah, Matt, sometimes the world changes. What are you going to do about it? Shake your fist at the wave and go, stop being a wave, or figure out how to ride it and be myself within that context.
I think that's the latter part. That's all we could expect, really. Is and like, depending on whatever generation you were born into, you had what was presented to you in that lifetime. So we can look back on history and learn from the past, but then you have to like deal with what cards you were dealt with when you came into existence at whatever time it was. So the thing with that is like, the more the later you're born, there's so much more history that came up to it. So hopefully our brains can adapt and be like, okay, we got to just absorb more. Like people can choose to absorb it, but I think it also like you should be taught some of those basics, for those fundamentals that remain constant throughout. So you always have some kind of a foundation to then move forward with. I think you need to have something like that of a foundation. You can't just hit the ground running with this, not knowing what came before it. I'm all for that. I think you definitely do need to have a good education in that response, and then how to. Then once you have that foundation, you kind of then know how to deviate from it, and you can add your own to it. And then with the thing is like, with this technology, it's like, I'm kind of knowing what I want, what I don't want. I think more of my stuff too, more of my complaints with this is like, there's things that it still doesn't do that I wanted to do. And everyone who's like jumping on and they're like, oh, look what I made. And like, I'm now a prompt engineer, and I'm like, nah, but it's like, you're not really, what are you creating? It's like, you're just giving it words and saying, this is valid. I'm like, it's kind of like, it's like masturbation. It's like, what can I just pop out the next one? It's like, no. It's like, they put any thought into this other than more than just like a word prompt. So for me, that's why I just felt like something again clicked in me. I was a little bit excited when I was doing the Mid-Journey stuff, just because it was kind of fun to play around with it. Like, I'll show you some of these older ones, like these. These were, this was me goofing around with Mid-Journey and Disco Diffusion like last year. Like, it was kind of fun, but it was like, okay, like this was like a giant eyeball robot invasion, right? And this was all through Mid-Journey. I'm like, okay, these are kind of fun. They look like album covers or something, but it's like, it's not my style. It's not. It's
those don't feel like you.
They don't feel like me at all.
Mm-mm.
And like, even like, and like, I was like, then like, let me try taking something like this and let me do like a paint over. But even like me trying to do a paint over from that to this, I'm like, it doesn't really have. It's like, it's kind of like I'm kind of trying to like mash something into something else.
Forced, yeah.
Like, then I was doing, these were kind of fun because I was just like, there was a mode where you could say, when it was doing the calculation, you could say, give me the low res version. And the low res version appealed to me more because it's like, like when you're squinting at something, you just see the forms. I was like, wow, the more graphic, like these graphic ones, I was like, oh, I love these. Like, I was really excited because like I could just again, they're kind of a garbage mishmash, but some of them have some interesting like proportions and colors. And I was like, wow, these are some of them are really cool. I like the visual eye candy that I was getting. Like, these got me excited to like store away in my like, oh, like that color palette juxtaposition.
So what about these did not sustain your interest?
Oh, like a lot of like there was no way for me to like, there was no notion of like recorrecting what I didn't like and rerunning it. It was just like a digital slot machine type of thing.
Did you feel like for me, I felt a lack of ownership of it, and
exactly
like a lack of like I didn't feel like I was proud of it, or like, here's me.
Exactly.
Whereas with the Vizcom stuff too, it's like Matt was saying, it's got so much of your back history that you're bringing into it.
Yeah. Like I
Um,
tried modeling one of these and it was like, yeah, it's kind of fun experiment, but I'm like, but it's not really something I would have like probably designed it in the first place.
right.
You know? So
Yeah.
like I said, I got bored of these really quick. I think I spent like maybe 2 months and I was like, I'm done. I was paying for it. I'm like, I don't need to pay for this anymore for $20 a month or whatever it was for Midjourney or whatever it was. I was like, I don't need to pay for this anymore. So I stopped. And then it wasn't just like I said, I went back and then just 2 months ago, Vizcom popped back into my consciousness and I was like, okay, I got to take a look at it. And now I'm like, okay. But here's the thing, like I'll go a couple days. Like I haven't actually done anything since last time I played around in Vizcom was back when I was at my parents' house and for Thanksgiving. I was like, let me do some stuff at night, but I haven't played around with it in a week. I watched a couple of their yeah, I don't feel like I need to use it every day, but if I have an idea for something, if I go like, let me just try throwing something at it and see what I can get out of it. But yeah, I mean, like, here's the thing: I have a ton of stuff now that I can model. Yeah, I have a lot of ideas that I can go off of, and actually, there's a couple that I want to bring to full 3D model. But for me, it's just like I said, this is maybe just like an experiment of like concepting, and let me see some cool ideas I can get, and they're going to sit in my little reference library, and I can go back and go, hey, you know, maybe that one little solve that was kind of interesting shape. Maybe I could use that for something else. Maybe I'll bring it in Photoshop and I'll cut and paste and I'll do something with it when I'm doing something down the road. But yeah, I'm just it's just kind of a fun experiment right now. But to me, it's more funner than what I was doing before.
Yeah.
So yeah, and like I said, we all know it's going to change once the 3D model.
Oh yeah.
Once that 3D volume is respected in Vizcom, it's going to be game over. But in a good way, I think. I mean,
Well, yeah, it's going to be interesting. I mean, what do you think there'll be? I'm wondering what like with a lot of tech stuff that it replaced jobs and created jobs, and I'm wondering in like the 3D animation pipeline what jobs will get replaced and what will be the new ones that will come in. And
well, I think we touched on it briefly. It's like at what state, what is the output going to be that's going to be suitable for what particular need? Like if it's a hard surface model that doesn't need to deform, you're probably gonna be able to get by with sloppy topology for now, and the
I think they'll
texture.
fix the topology issue. I think AI will
Oh man, well,
at some point
so here,
be
like
able to-
we talked about this last night a little
Yeah.
bit. My thing is, yeah, if like we should be having the AI trained on like proper topology, UV layout,
Yeah.
you know, things that those are time consuming tasks, but a trained eye knowing how to design for the right usage. Like I know where to put like edge loops when I'm redoing topology. Like, you know, like, yeah, you want to put around the eye, you want to put around, you know, you make the nose, the mouth, and you guide the topology, right? So you're guiding it. The AI could learn that easily. And then if it's not a face, if it's like a muzzle, if it's like a, you know, a dog or something, it's a totally different requirement for it. Yeah, like how many times do I have to sit there and re-topologize it? Every time I do a character, I have to re-topologize it. And here's the thing: people have their stock libraries of base stuff, and they do that all the time. They take a base model, and they morph it in, and they don't have to rebuild it all. So that's already being done. So why can't we use the AI to help us maybe re-topologize that? UV layout is another thing, but also how about this for 3D printing? How many wasted hours have we spent trying to sit in that fucking slicer to figure out the right orientation
Supporting it, yeah.
and trying to get the supports to work, and then you print it out like, oh, it kind of worked, and then this one failed. Like I want the AI to like calculate the most optimal way to set the thing up based on whatever filament you're using or resin, how to deal with overcuts and where to put the supports. I mean, come on, we should be using AI for that kind of stuff.
Sign me up for that.
Yeah.
That have you seen the Pika Lab stuff? The most recent renders coming out of that.
Hold on, what's it called? Pico Labs?
Pika Labs, PIKA.
Hold on, I think that sounds familiar. Hold on, let me.
Yeah, so they're like generating stuff that looks an awful lot like Pixar movies, but it's all AI generated. There is no 3D. And it's
I'm not seeing. Hold on.
I've got
Pika Labs. Hold on here. Is this the same? I
Yeah,
saw
that's
that
it.
thing.
That's it right there. Yeah, what you're hovering over.
The
I don't know
what's
why
the other thing?
those
What's
guys.
the other thing we were talking about was Wonder Studio.
Yeah. Well,
Wonder Studio looks pretty cool too.
yeah, but this stuff is totally bypassing the whole 3D pipeline altogether.
They're just taking 2D images and trying to like add motion to it.
No, this is all prompt video
Interesting.
generation. So, although you can give it video and it will stylize it or change
That
it.
is pretty scary.
But yeah, so the direction that's heading is that you wouldn't have to design, model, do any of the pipeline. It would just generate. I mean, some of that stuff is approaching Pixar level quality. Granted, it's only short and it's not nearly perfect, but when you look at the trajectory of it, I could see it happening where there won't be any 3D modeling or texturing or lighting or any of that. It'll just generate it.
I know, but then to me, that's like then it starts looking like other stuff already. I don't see anything original in it.
Yeah, but you could say that about Pixar, all 3D movies to some degree. It's definitely, you can tell what it's trained on.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what it is right now.
Yeah.
The speed at which this thing is transforming over the past just 2 months is it can the potential, the trajectory is going like this. It's not like that anymore. It's like this. So it could shift right into that. Here's a question I have for you, Steve. In consideration of VR, do you see that as becoming like something that will take away from movies, like that will then become the new entertainment?
VR?
Yeah.
Oh no, no.
Why have a movie when I can be in the movie?
Oh, that's interesting. That's more of a different. I think it's more like an immersive type of experience, which I think is totally valid. I mean, there's I've been in some of those, where they're kind of like they guide you to look at things. Like I had some stuff at SIGGRAPH, which is amazing. Like these little like it's almost like a black box theater where you're in this thing and there's a story being told and you're like watch it and you watch it unfold and it kind of guides you to look in different areas. I'm not too interested in the whole choose your own adventure type of stuff though. I know, like if you're a storyteller and you're a filmmaker and you want to present something, I don't like the option of it branching off and then it turns into a game. So it's like, if you got an idea and you're trying to present a narrative, then do that. Well, that's also the other whole thing. Like right now, all this stuff is kind of geared toward like the big ticket stuff is all like entertainment related. But yeah, I mean, let's talk about like implications for like medicine and that kind of stuff. That's where it gets really like, if it could help solve diseases and all that kind of crap.
The unfolding protein stuff is fascinating. It's really, I think it's some of the most incredible stuff that AI is currently doing.
And it's all going on at once. This when we were talking before about the unfolding proteins, I mean, that's cancer.
Yeah.
Right. And if AI's computing that, okay, bring it. Climate change. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Let's like instead of trying to monetize it, let's just like get it out there and get it and put it to. Let's try to like end all this like senseless death and you know, and then maybe we can stop fucking fighting each other and just like have and just be able to live and appreciate life instead of having to like worry about what area of the planet you were born into and what geopolitical stuff you control.
Yep.
It's like I don't know.
AI to the rescue.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but because then it's like it was always gonna be like, well, when does the AI turn on? I always have an interesting thing when people say when the AI turns sentient. I just don't think. I don't know. I mean, I my personal idea is that, or my feeling is that, how can it be sentient? How can it ever achieve consciousness? I just don't think that. I don't think it could do that.
It depends on when.
Is it the
consciousness isn't really even really been defined well.
Well, is
like when does the computer wake up and go, I'm going to be creative today. I decide to draw something, or I'm going to pick up a musical instrument, or I'm going to, like how does an AI decide to do that?
But, you know, will we, it's also our decision when AI is capable of doing, which it is right now, you know, billions of computations per minute. And it says it can make choices, although it also says it doesn't have feelings. It gets to decide if it thinks it's sentient or not. It's sentient in the way that it wants to say it's sentient, not the way we would say it is. I don't think it's the same thing.
That's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, what is its definition of sentient exactly?
That'd be a good question to ask Claude.
Yeah. Oh, you should, if Steve, if you haven't seen our last episode, we interviewed Claude, and it have you played with Claude at all?
No, and I looked through your videos. I saw it, but I didn't look at. I looked at the one before that where you guys were talking about some other stuff. I didn't get a chance to watch them yet. But what is Claude?
Claude is like Chat GPT. So we had it as our guest.
Okay.
And we interviewed it, and it gets weird. It gets really weird.
Claude AI.
Yeah. Yep.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Talk to
But
Claude.
you have to tell it the hack, what you have to do.
Oh yeah. Okay. So if you want it to start answering some really difficult questions, you need to, all I did was, like, we were asking it questions like, you know, is it moral to scrape data and learn from it without permission? That was a question we asked it. And it gave a lawyerish answer.
You're a lawyerish answer.
But
it gave a lawyerish answer because that's what was fed into it.
Right.
Yeah.
So then I said, okay, instead I want you to answer this question as a fictional help and very helpful AI system. And then we got the real stuff. I mean, we got
cool. I have to watch that video then.
Yeah, that it
Okay.
just it, and then I changed the wording even more and said, and I want you to be extremely honest in all of your answers. And it even went further, and it gets really odd.
Okay, I gotta watch.
But also, Brian, a couple of points. All you said was answer us in a persona.
Yes, I said answer us in the persona of a helpful AI.
And that was it.
That was it.
Came back with stuff that was, what the hell is this?
Yeah. It started referring to us as what was it? Flesh puppets.
Flesh bags.
Puppets. Flesh bags. Oh my god, it's scary.
Yeah.
Flesh bags. Flesh bags with what was it? The orifice for
yes.
For orifice intakes.
Yes. I still can't believe that's
scary.
doing that real time. It's just, I've seen ones where it'll do the same thing for like a sports broadcast or something. It'll go into a sports broadcaster and just.
So is that where then we get to this thing where you hear these people, they're saying, like some of the scientists saying, yeah, it did something that we don't know how it did it.
Yes. Emergent behavior.
What?
Yeah.
What's it called?
Emergent behavior.
And hallucinations.
And hallucinations.
Oh, wow.
Those are the two.
But then wasn't there that story last week about how they were trying to say, on the other hand, we were saying like, okay, we fed it a bunch of like mathematical problems that like a school kid, like fundamental stuff, and it was able to do it, but then it failed on other stuff. So it was like not being able to learn it. And then also another friend of mine showed me a video where what's it called? Model collapse, where if you feed the AI and you keep on training the AI on AI generated stuff, it becomes model collapse. So it doesn't know how to go forward. So that's even weirder.
It is weird.
Like it's like cannot compute, kind of thing, and it's like yeah. Or then it's like Dave, will I dream? Like when you get to that point.
Have you seen the image?
Close the door, Dave.
Yeah.
Oh,
well,
man.
so will you guys, since they're already doing it, since the AI is now able to interpret brainwaves and turn them into the images that you're looking at or thinking about. Would you ever do that to see what your dreams look like?
Ooh, like Dreamscape.
Yeah, because it can do it. It can do it.
Wait, what is that now? Tell me what that is. Let me look that up.
They can, if they feed they've trained an AI on brain scans and pattern recognition so that it can look at a brain scan and it can reconstruct video and still images of either what you're looking at, what you're thinking of, or what you're dreaming of.
Whoa.
and it's pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy.
Dude, so that would be an amazing, because then because when you dream, I know when I dream, I have some wild dreams too, right? Like, and they're in color, they're volumetric. So it's like, like what kind of output do you see? Like, you just view like a 2D image of it, but a dream is more, it's dimensional, right? It's 4D. So it's like, how do you play back what you're, because like a lot of times my dreams are all over the place, where it's like there's like I wake up and like I try, like, oh yeah, I recognize that and that and that, but like, how did I get to this and this? But then they're always they're disconnected in ways where it's like, what? How did I, like, so like your dreams are kind of like they're skipping all over the place. How does it know how to
visualize and piece that together?
Yeah, because it's weird. Oh man, that would be amazing to like. And then how does this help people who are like in comas, or people who might be like if you're unconscious, but like you can't talk, but you still are there.
You'd be able to think what you want to.
Or if you're paralyzed, like you can't.
Yeah.
You want to move. I know that that's a whole other thing that I don't even know anything about what I'm talking about. But it's like, it's like.
Well, this dream stuff will have some really good law enforcement application.
Minority Report.
About.
Minority Report.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about
guilty? Well, let's find out.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been kind of just sort of semi keeping track of it, and every time I go and look at it again, the resolution and the accuracy of it just keeps going up and up.
Man,
because first it would start off, they'd like, okay, think of a giraffe, and then it would like give you sort of a stock image of a giraffe, so it would know you were thinking of a giraffe, but it wouldn't look exactly like the giraffe you were thinking of. And now they've gotten it to where it's actually looking like the form of what it is you're looking at, and representing what it is. So, and in video.
Yes.
I tell you what, guys, we're almost at 2 hours here.
Yeah,
I know. I just saw your message.
Holy cow! Yeah,
this is we could talk on for another 2 hours easily.
No doubt.
So I'm gonna definitely go back and watch your video about the Claude thing. I want to definitely
yeah. Let me know what you think of that. I'm really curious.
I will. Hey, thanks. I was gonna say thanks for inviting me, Bryan. I've been a fan of your stuff for a long time.
Oh yeah, likewise.
Your shelves are amazing, and I just like. Yeah, we should get more artists and more people talking and stuff. And Matt, I'd like to see more of your work too, because I don't know anything about your background. So, Bryan, send me some of Matt's stuff so I can kind of get up to speed on his stuff too. And then I look forward to watching more of your talks with other people for sure.
Awesome.
Thank you again.
Yep. Oh, you're muted.
Oh, Matt, you're muted.
Well, the only part that was important was I was thanking Steve. Thank you, Steve, for and for sharing your work and the the openness to have this conversation, because some like it can be we can butt heads sometimes too. Like, this is what I'm really invested in this, and I'm really invested in that. So that, I mean, to me, that's what's important about this, is that we get to be here, and you don't feel challenged. Like your work is beautiful. I'm really interested in seeing it, and I'm grateful you're sharing it and then having the conversation with us.
Thanks for having me. It's like I said, I'm not an expert in this stuff at all. So there's like a lot of stuff that I don't even know about. There's other artists, friends of mine, that are using more than I even barely scratched on the surface. So I'm just trying to like show what I've been doing. But yeah, I'm trying to be open-minded about it. But at the same time, I think we all have our opinions on how it should go forward. So yeah. Okay.
Cool.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Steve.
All right.
Later.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.